Hola, mi amigos, and welcome to round 6 of the GP4 OC 2020 season. We're here for the Spanish Grand Prix at the circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Third of 8 tracks that will be on the OC calendar every season, the third 10 tracks on the OC calendar to feature on the revised 2020 F1 calendar, and the circuit, of course, often used as a winter testing venue for the GP4 OC along with Bahrain. 16 having won here over the past 14 seasons, with Ferrari winning the most, and with Brawn winning here only the once in the 1 year they were here in 2009. So that record still set back in 2009 by Michael Scow, a 118.599. The cars were insanely fast back then. 66 laps, circuit length of 4.655 kilometers, 16 corners, and of course there's chances to overtake, and of course they have that wonderful chicane on the circuit that I think we all know and love. Previous 5 winners here have included Volker in 2015, Mackenzie, Carr, Volker, and Chung was the one who won here last season. So I don't think she'll have much of a chance of winning here this year, unfortunately, with the way the Ferrari car is and how quick it is. Tyres we'll be using for this race will be the soft tyres. And so now I'll take a look at the free practice results, and it was a Mercedes domination as usual, with Frank Lopez ahead of Carl, then the 2 Red Bulls, the 2 Racing Points, then the 2 McLarens, and then unfortunately Chung ruining it from being the 2 Renaults afterwards. But anyway, here is the starting grid for the Spanish Grand Prix, and it was Franco Lopez who decimated the field ahead of Miguel Gal. Still haven't beat the lap record though, but he was on pole position with Gal alongside him. On row 2 we have Amar Carr from Mercedes and Evan Byrne. Great performance by him and the Renault in 4th. Row 3 we have Franco Gamba and Roland Moitian for Racing Point. That is row 3 of the grid. On row 4 we have George Roque for Racing Point and Roberto Gamba. Shout out to him as well, one of his best qualifying of the season, in the 8th position for Ferrari. Laura Chung 9th for Ferrari as well, with Jake Galloway 10th. I mean, Ferrari's probably had their best qualifying of the season so far. On row 6 of the grid we have Chris Chatfield for AlphaTauri and Gabriel Gomez for Alfa Romeo. Row 7 of the grid we have David Kupok for AlphaTauri and Joseph Willers for McLaren. That is row 7 of the grid. On row 8 we have Dudu Kirby for Haas and Daniel Fraser for Haas alongside him, so the 2 Haases on row 8 of the grid. Row 9, Jamie Griffiths for Williams, it didn't come last for once. Andrea Federi 18th for Alfa Romeo. De Rosso, who had qualified in 40th but had the 5-place group penalty from last time out in Portugal, and Minnie Wilson alongside. And on the last row of the grid we have Felix Santoy for Williams and Rosetta Martinez for Manor. So that is the grid for the Grand Prix, and yet again we're going to have yet another dry race. We have yet to have a wet race this season. And I wonder, it makes me think the next round after this is Monaco, and just imagine the scenes if we do get a wet race there. But nonetheless, that is the next race. We are here for the current race at Barcelona. The cars all on the grid, and the 5 lights are now coming on for the start of the Spanish Grand Prix. As the 5 lights are now on here, and who's going to get the jump? And we are underway, and it looks like Lopez has got a pretty good launch ahead of Gao in 2nd, and Carl already trying to force his way through up into 2nd. I think he already is past Gao into 2nd position, so Carl's made a great start. Gao has not made a good start. Byrne is up into 3rd, however. He's made a great start, and he might even try to get Carl for 2nd, possibly around turns 1 and 2, but Carl does hold him off, so Byrne up into 3rd, Gao down to 4th, not the start he would have wanted. Now looking through the rest of the field, there's Gamba in 5th, Mujin in 6th, and then looking through, there's battles through the field. De Ross has already made up 9 places at the start. Quite incredible. It's 3 wide there coming into turn 4, and somehow they get away with it. And De Rossi up now 2 more places up to 8th from 19th on the grid, up 11 places on the first lap. What an incredible start that is, and we should see a replay of that. But De Rossa, that is probably 11 places from, that is insane. So we have to see how on earth he has managed that, because I don't think I've ever seen anyone go from go up 11 places within the first half a lap. And he might even try and get 7th here. He's behind Chris Chatfield in the AlphaTauri. He's going to try and make a move on the inside. De Rossa might even be up to 7th. Is he going to go for it? And the answer is no, not quite. Chatfield will hold on to 7th place. But for Lopez and for Carr, it was the starts they needed. But here's De Rossa. So he already made a good launch off the line. Already getting past for Dairy. Gets past Griffiths. And going past the Haas of Dudu Kirby. So look at that, and De Rossa just goes through. Look at that, going through the cars in the situation. They all just make way for him. They all just move to the left and let him come through just like that. And he's already up to 10th by the first corner. So he'd already gained 9 places, and then he gained a further 2 from the battle up ahead, which was between Chatfield, Roberto Gamba and Roque, actually, because they were Gamba was trying to make it was on the inside, and Chatfield trying to move as well. And as you can see, somehow Roque and the Ferrari there of Gamba managing to avoid contact. I've no idea how they managed to get away with that, but they did nonetheless. And De Rosa up into 8th position just like that in 4 corners. And that is how you do it. That again, just an unbelievable start. Never seen anything like it before. And meanwhile, oh my word, and a huge crash, and Felix Sonntag has absolutely killed the manner there of Rosetta Martinez. Just goes right into the back, and Martinez goes into it, and the car just disintegrates, just comes apart from the rest of it. And Felix Sonntag will have to go into the pits for a new front wing. So quite a crash there, and he goes, I think, did he hit the car in front there, Despartes? I'm not sure, but so it was a big crash on this. Look at that, look at the speed he was going, and he does it, he goes cannons into the back of that Haas there. So the Haas has got damage. So this was the replay of Martinez and Sonntag. So I suppose Martinez did come a little bit in front of Sonntag there, and then started braking, and then Sonntag, who was caught unawares, then goes into Martinez, who then cannons across the track, right in front of his teammate Amelia Wilson, and then there's Federi, and then he goes into the back of the Haas there of that is Dudu Kirby. So Kirby's gonna have to pit and change his rear wing. So disappointing for him, but what a chaotic first lap there, right at the back. Meanwhile, this is the battle for third. The two Mercedes are a little bit clear in the distance. Gal all over the back of Evan Byrne for third, and meanwhile De Rosa has now actually got past Chatfield. Not seen by the cameras, as there was a little lock-up, I think, there from Roberto Gamba. Meanwhile, a battle behind between Jake Galloway and Chung down to 12th. Gomez trying to force his way through as well, but he can't. And so, looking through all the field. So, Sonntag there's Kirby, who obviously pitted. And we actually have another car out as well. And Kirby, just as he was exiting the pits, hits the Williams there. And that is of Jamie, is it Jamie Griffiths? Yeah, it is Jamie Griffiths. Yeah, I think he was the one coming in after Sonntag. Yeah, so unfortunately for Jamie Griffiths, who also got damaged, so we didn't see from the incident between Martinez and Sonntag. And unfortunately, Griffiths being the car that had to come in after his teammates, and he has paid the price for it, unfortunately. So he is out. So 2 cars out of this race. But yeah, very unfortunate there. Meanwhile, Bird defending hard from Nicolas Gao, and there's contact. Twice, 3 times there. Can Gal finally force his way through? And the answer is no, he can't. Byrne has the run through the corner there, and will keep the position. So now Franco Gamba could even make a move on the inside of his teammate there, and no, can't quite do that. And so meanwhile, Gal trying to make this is the replay, I should say. And so there was the first bit of contact. Then there was the second. There was right there. And then there's a third bit of contact right there. So three bits of contact from Gal, and that still wasn't enough for him to get through past Byrne. So here we go, he's going to try it again. So he's going to try and go to the outside, then swap to the inside, which he does. Surely this is the move from Gal, and yes, it is, worked an absolute treat. And now he is up into 3rd position, and Byrne has now got pressure from, he's now in a Red Bull sandwich. He's got Gamba behind him as well. So this is the replay, of course, of Gal making that move. Pretty decent. So now Gamba will try and make the move himself when he's close enough. Meanwhile, behind, Reda Moichin is 6th. He's battling with De Rosa. I think Moichin had a little bit of a lock-up there. De Rosa trying to force his way up the inside, but he can't quite do it there. But again, just quite an incredible start from De Rosa. But there's Moichin with his lock-up going a little bit wide, way off the apex there. Meanwhile, this is Gabriel Gomez trying to pass Jake Galloway. This is for 11th place. Oh, contact. And Gomez, is he through now? Nope. Galloway wasn't enough to knock him off his perch, and so Gomez stays behind. Of course, he's got Willows behind as well, looking to make a move, possibly to get past both if he needs to. And so meanwhile, we look now, this is Laura Chung, who's in 14th, having a pretty horrible race at the moment, and he's being caught by Dudu Kirby, is Laura Chung. Meanwhile, there's a car pitting, and actually it's De Rosa, who has now forced his way up into 6th place, so he's pitting early, so it looks like he's on the 3-stop as Moichin does another lock-up there, going into turn 1. And so, yeah, De Rosa explains why he's so fast, but even so, making that start was still absolutely insane. And a little bit of contact again, and this is Gomez, who now finally passes Galloway, and so does Willow, so Galloway losing out there. So we're looking now at Joseph Willows. There's Roque in the moment in 10th, and into the pits now comes De Rosa for his first pit stop of the race. And so again, what an unbelievable start from the Polish driver. will not get much better than this. And yeah, he'll drop far down the order now, but it certainly will help him at the fact where he'll finish because of how many positions he's gained so far in this race. So he's into the pits on lap 11, and it's a fairly long stint, but I think that will still be a 3-stop strategy for De Rosa. So he comes, I think it's going to be right near the back of the field. Meanwhile, Lopez now comes in for his first stop of the race. So he now relinquishes the lead to Amar Khan, who takes it away. So Lopez now coming into his pit box, and he'll change all 4 tyres. And so he's doing probably maybe about the same as De Rosa's fuel. But it looks like it will probably be a 3-stop for him, because I've been told that drivers pitting before lap 15 will more than likely do a 3-stop. So it means a lot of these guys will probably pit quite late, but it will mean they'll be insanely quick at the end. So Lopez comes out just in 6th place behind Rolomoichian in the pink Mercedes. Come out ahead, crucially though, of Chris Chatfield in the AlphaTauri. Again, Chatfield had a good start this race, kept himself to himself. Had a solid start of the season for AlphaTauri, really, Chatfield. And so he's going to keep up, trying to see if he can keep up that good form. Meanwhile, Kupok now on the inside of Laura Chung. This is for 13th place, and Chung holds the position. Meanwhile, behind is Daniel Fraser and Andrea Federi. Kupok right behind the Ferrari. Can he make a move on the inside? And the answer is no. He defends, but now that will allow Fraser to think about attack. But Chung, I think, went a little bit wide coming through the corner there. So Fraser is right there now. And so there's Willis, who doesn't appear to be actually getting close to the back of Gomez. Can't make a move, despite following him through past Galloway. So David Kupok now still going to behind Chung, but surely he'll make a move coming at the end of the straight here. This is an overtaking spot. Doesn't always happen more than 50% of the time, but it can. Kupok trying on the inside here, and I think he might do it actually. He's forced Chung wide, and yes, Kupok is through. So good move there by the German, ahead of Laura Chung, who again is having is struggling badly. Meanwhile, De Rosa, who's just pitted now, has to get through all this traffic, so this isn't exactly what he would have hoped for, that is for sure. But as we look at De Rosa coming through the chicane, so he's going to try and have a go at the Italian Federi coming down the front straight. So he's in the slipstream of the Alfa Romeo, and he's going to make a move to the inside, or is he going to try? Because I think actually Federi's got the slipstream of the car in front, who's defending hard, and that is Fraser, and Fraser goes wide. And will De Rosa try and make a move around the outside? No, but Federi does make it through past Fraser up into P15. So now De Rosa will look to make a move past Fraser as well. He's to get it down ASAP because he's getting held up badly in this traffic. Fraser, meanwhile, looking at trying to get back past Federi there, so that prevented him from doing the move. Meanwhile, Lopez, who has gone past Rolomoichian in the racing point, this is for 5th, so pretty easy move down the front straight. No real defence there, no surprise. And now he's on the back of Franco Gamba. So he's in the slipstream, it is Lopez, and he's going to probably breeze past the Italian, his fellow Franco, of course, on the inside, and he's going to make it up into 4th position. So now he's got Evan Byrne just in front to pass as well, and then he'll be a bit in clear air because Byrne's dropped a few seconds off of Gal in front. So now as we look at Lopez, who comes out of the slipstream and now is set to go past the Renault of Byrne, and yep, there we go, up into 3rd, just like that. Pretty easy for Lopez there. I don't know what the gap is to Gal in front, but I think I'll have a bit of clear air before it to do so. Yeah, he's a little bit in front, Gal, so Lopez can just ease his tyres at this moment in time. Meanwhile, Laura Chung again down to 16th. She's having a really, really bad race. So De Rosa, meanwhile, has actually passed Chung, and oh, this is why Chung made a mistake coming through, and whoa, and nearly it could have been a huge crash there with Federi and also De Rosa, but Chung controlling it. But then you're also going to give credit to the guys behind for seeing what was happening. And so meanwhile, De Rosa now passing Federi, it looks like, around the outside, obviously on much fresher tyres than these guys, and yet goes around the outside of Federi there. Good job there by De Rosa. You don't actually see very many moves around the outside there, but fair play. So now we're looking at De Rossa going past David Kupok. This is for P13, so De Rossa scything his way back through the field as he needs to, if he wants to ensure that he gets a good result from this race. So, looking at Carl, who's not going to be pitting for a few laps yet, so he will definitely be on the 2 stop. Lopez about 8.6 seconds behind Gal. I'm not sure what Gal's fuel is, but with luck then he won't have to deal with Gal if he has to pit. Meanwhile, Roland Moichin actually is going to come into the pits on this lap as well. There is Gomez, who's battling with George Roque in the racing point. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there between the two, but Roque will hold the position there, and that will allow Willows to catch up behind 2. But again, no harm done. Roland Moichin coming through the final chicane and coming into the pits, where obviously it's not easy when you have to come into the pits off that final chicane because of the angle the cars come in at. Genius idea. So Moichin coming into the pits for his first stop of the race, and he'll be doing, I imagine, the 2 stop. And so into the pits he comes, and there we go. Changes all 4 tyres. That's 22. So I mean, not a huge stint this from Moichin, but unless he might actually be doing 3, but it's not a huge amount of fuel they're putting into his car. But we'll see how that works out for him, really. So he comes out, looks like behind De Rossa actually, behind Galloway, behind Kupok as well. So at least he comes out in some sort of clear air. Meanwhile, Gal's going to be pitting in a couple of laps' time. You can see Lopez in the background rapidly gaining on him, but Gal will have traffic to go through, and then Lopez will also have traffic to get through. I mean, the gap down, you can see just in that sector, down by 0.8, almost a second. That's how much Lopez is closing at the moment. Of course, this is a battle at the back between Dudu Kirby and Felix Sontag as they're coming round the final chicane. Gal right behind the Haas of Kirby now. Gal will surely lap him on the front straight if he's close enough, because Lopez is now right there, closing up to it. Meanwhile, Moichin has passed David Kupok on the track for 13th position there. So good job there by Roland Moichin. So meanwhile, Gal now actually is pitting this lap, as a matter of fact, and Byrne makes a little mistake there, coming off the final chicane, and so that could allow him to struggle with the clutches of Gamma behind. There is Franco Gamma, who is not quite close enough, I think, in the slipstream to Byrne in front. He's now getting in it now, when he may make a late dive bomb. Byrne defends to the inside. Gamma does try and attempt to take a look, but fails. So here we go again. So that was the mistake. Byrne's getting a little bit out of shape coming out of the chicane there, and so Gamma was able to gain, but couldn't quite make their move stick there. Meanwhile, Gal now is in the pits for his first stop of the race. And so in he is, and he's had a good stint so far. Clearly not as quick as the Mercedes, but let's be honest, who is as quick as the Mercedes? Oh yes, well, no one. No one, to be, as a matter of fact, are as good as the Mercedes. So as we look at Gal in the pits, and so fair amount of fuel on, so he'll be going into the mid-40s, which will be enough for him to go to do his second stop and go to the end. Enough fuel, that is. And so we're looking at this is actually a pit stop battle incoming between Gomez and Willows. They're both coming into the pits on the same lap. So who will get out in front here? Will it be Gomez or will it be Willows? So a couple of pit calls as well. Gamma is coming into the pits this lap, or coming into the pits essentially next lap, I should say. But who is going to come out on top? Will it be Gomez staying in front of Willows, or will Willows jump ahead of Gabriel Gomez, and so they make their stop? Willows going on a very, very long stint on this time around, so obviously not quite enough to go to the end, but it'll be probably one of the last to pit. Gomez comes out of his pit box and will still stay in front, crucially, of Willows, probably a second more, and Willows may have jumped him there, but he hasn't. But as Gomez is now slightly quicker, well, it should be slightly quicker than Willows because he's got a little bit less fuel than Willows, but we'll see. At the moment, Lopez 14 seconds behind Carr, who's not pitting quite yet, but of course when Carr pits, Lopez will take the lead, and then we'll see how much Carr will gain on Lopez. So going to be an interesting battle between the two Mercedes yet again. So we're looking meanwhile at Franco Gamba, who's behind Byrne in P3 at this moment. Of course, Franco Gamba is pitting this lap, so he could attempt to do the undercut on the Irishman. And so as they come through the final chicane, and so then Gamble will slow down, go to the right, and then he'll pit, which he does so. And there we go. Gamba is in. So let's see how quick the stop will be for the Italian, where he comes out in relation to the guys that have already pitted. So he'll obviously be on the 2 stop. How much fuel do they put in? Do they put in a lot? Yeah, they put in a fair amount, so pitting probably around the lap 50 mark, 49, 50 mark. So he's behind Moichin. Is he going to be behind Galloway? Galloway I don't believe has actually pitted yet. De Rossa, who's well in front actually, is now passing Roke for P7 there into turn 1. So behind Galloway, behind Q-Pop, but they haven't pitted yet. So Gamba's going to have, it looks like, probably a lot of work to do. Meanwhile, Moichin on the back of Roke, his teammate, and Roku is not pitted yet. And so Moichin on the inside, is going to make the move stick past him, and the answer is yes. So he's through past his teammate there, but I think they're definitely going to be on different strategies, so no need to hold him up. Gamba at the moment comes out in P12, so he comes out a fair bit down the order. Meanwhile, this is De Rossa, who's all over the back of Roberto Gamba. This is for 6th. They've got to get past the AlphaTauri in front of Chris Chatfield. Meanwhile, pit call, I believe, for the leader. I think that was Armar Carr. Pit call for him to come into the pits. Who else? What else could it be for? Meanwhile, this battle's still raging on. Chatfield, then Gamba, then De Rossa, then Moichin, and Chatfield nearly getting overtaken by Gamba there, because he went a little bit wide coming through the corner. So as there's the pit, there we see the pit call for Carr. He'll be coming in at the end of the lap. Meanwhile, Sontag going past, I think that was Wilson, into turn 1 there. Roberto Gamba all over the back of Chatfield. Surely he's going to be close enough to make a move into the first corner, but of course he's got De Rossa, who's much quicker than him, trying to overtake him, so he's going to try and go on the inside. Moichin is there as well, so De Rossa tries it on the inside, but then Moichin is trying to push his way through as well. It's not quite going to work, and now Gamba trying on the inside of Chatfield into the first corner. Chatfield defending hard, and no, positions do stay the same, so no change there within 2, which is good. I suppose no change and no collisions, which is also very good, because it looked like they could have been. But Roberto Gamba really defending from De Rossa, but De Rossa is now through, and so is Moichin, so that is one card dealt with. So now they've got to deal with Chatfield, and now Roke is on the back of Roberto Gamba as well. So as they come through into turn 5 there, meanwhile Gamba's trying to get past the traffic as well. So now Armar Carr is in the pits for his first stop of the race.
Okay, no pressure.
And
just prepare yourself
so
for first gear.
let's see where he comes out on the... Well, come up behind Lopez, but how far back behind Lopez will he be is going to be the big question. So it is going to be quite significant. But fresh tyres on this track are... obviously, well, I suppose they're important on any other track, but still depending on the tyres we use, soft or hards, then it can make a huge difference. So meanwhile we're looking... This is Roberto Gamba. Is he quite close enough behind Chatfield in front to make a move? He's just about getting the slipstream now, but not able to make the move stick there. So as we look now at Carlos down in P2, what's the gap behind Lopez? The gap is about 11 seconds, it seems. So yeah, Carr, I imagine, will definitely close that down by the time they get to the next stop. The question is actually, though, if he'll actually be able to overtake him or not. Certainly going to be a possibility. So Lopez obviously comes across the line. He's now on lap 27 of this race. Meanwhile, Gomez trying on the inside of Jake Galloway for 11th position. Galloway going a little bit deep. Gomez trying to force his way up the inside. Not quite got enough there. And so yeah, he stays behind him there. He, again, trying to get round on the inside of the Renault, but he can't quite do it. And would he have a go now, Gomez? The answer is no, he doesn't. So he has to wait once again. So meanwhile we're looking at Carr, who is already gaining on Lopez, down to 9.8 seconds. It was 11 when it looked like 9.3 now even. So yeah, Carr is certainly going to be closing down on Lopez very fast. And so meanwhile this battle for P3, Byrne, who seems to have been P3 the whole race, and so now we'll have Gal and Moichin behind. So as we look at them coming through the first couple of corners, through turns 1, turn 2, and then coming through into turn 3. Lopez at the moment the leader of this race, but that gap is coming down. Meanwhile Kirby trying on the inside of Sontag. These two have been battling all race ever since they came out from their first unscheduled stop. Carr meanwhile has to deal with a bit of traffic actually, so that will be an advantage to Lopez, who only has Chung a little bit further in front. 2 laps, so she'll need to get out of the way. So Chatfield in the pits as well for his first stop. That's a car coming up behind the two, coming through the final chicane. Now onto the front straight, and surely Lapham, although if they're going to battle, then it might be a little bit harder for Car to get through. So as we look now at Gal, who's right behind Byrne, this is the battle for P3. And Gal going to swap to the inside. Is he going to make a stick there? No, Byrne just about holds on. So good job there from the Irishman. And so as we look on board from Moijin, who is right behind these two, looking to take advantage of either of these two slip up. And so as we look at them coming through into the final chicane, and as we can see, actually a couple of cars coming to the pits. Actually, Byrne is pitting this lap actually, so Byrne has finally pitted, so that relieves Gal, but that allows Moichin to be right behind because he got a bad run through that chicane because of course they were pitting. But Byrne is in, and the car in front of him is in as well. That is Felix Sontag is in too. So these two of course not in a race with each other. So Byrne will hope to, well, he'll still hope to come out ahead of Sontag, so he won't have to lap him out on the circuit.
No pressure.
Byrne, who will be, of course, on the 2-stop.
First gear.
So he comes out the pits, and fairly quick stop there. Meanwhile, Franco Gamba going past George Roker, or at least trying to, coming down the front straight. Is he quite alongside him? I think Roke's maybe just about edging it, and there's Gamba. Will he go for the move? Not quite, very close there, going into the first corner. Meanwhile, Byrne comes out in P10, so he's still in the points. And Sontag down in what is essentially last, and he comes out, ooh, that was close, just in front of Willows there. That could have been bad. Gamba trying on Roke coming through turn 4, but not able to make the move stick. And Roku's been kind of stuck behind Roberto Gamba all race so far, and not been able to make a move, but just managed to stick with him. But I think Roke, from briefly seeing his fuel, is definitely going to be doing a 1-stop, so it's probably no surprise why he hasn't necessarily got the pace, although he's not been doing too badly so far. Although Gamba actually is on, I say similar fuel, he's got a few laps less than Roke, so these two are in a legitimate battle for position. Gamba again trying on the inside of Roke, very near to contact, but fortunately no harm done. So as they come through the end of the second sector, coming through to the last part of the lap into the chicane. But Gamba all over the back of Roke as they come into the chicane, so he's got to stay behind him and get a good run in that dirty air out of the chicane to make the move in the first corner if he wants to do it. And I'm pretty sure he is definitely close enough. Oh yeah, he's almost pushing Roke through the chicane there, so this is going to be a move for Gamba coming down the straight, although he did try this a lap before. Meanwhile, an overtake behind, so Gamba I think he's a little bit more alongside. Meanwhile, Byrne going past Gomez into 9th. Can Gamba do it this time? The answer is no. Roke holds the position yet again, and bad news for Gamba, he's now got Byrne on his tail. That's just exactly what he didn't want. So Byrne, is he going to try and make a move on the inside of Gamba? No, because Gamba's going to try on Roke and fails, and so his battle will continue. So obviously Gal now, who is clear in third, got Mojin, who's still close behind, but at least he has not got much traffic in front to deal with at the moment. So most drivers in this field, of course, having stopped, Roke and Roberto Gamba being a couple of the only drivers who have yet to actually pit this race and do an actual stop. And so Byrne right behind as he's coming through, right-hander onto the short back straight, although Jake Galloway actually hasn't pitted either, neither has Chung, so still a few, so 4 drivers. Byrne trying it as Gal was trying on the inside of Roke there, but can't make it move, can't make it stick I should say, can't make it move, they can't move past Roke. Gamba, who is all over the back, and so as Gamba has a look into the chicane, we've got a yellow flag out on circuit, and it's Daniel Fraser who's out of this race, and Daniel Fraser has retired. He's become the 3rd retirement of the race pulled over, and it was a loose wheel that caused the issue. Fraser, who's been kind of around the back of this race, we haven't really seen much of him, just been keeping himself to himself, and then coming through the first corner there was when the problem occurred, and so that was his race over. Meanwhile, actually, I just realised this is the battle for the lead. This is the battle for the lead. Carr is caught up to Lopez, who's been held up in traffic here. So Carr is going to go past Lopez and take the lead of this race, or he's going to try to anyways. Trying to get alongside the Argentinian heading towards the first corner. Can he do it? The answer is no, he can't. And so he has to stay behind. But this is important for Franco Lopez to keep Omar Carr behind him. But I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. as they come through turn 3, and you can see, look at the speed that car has, and they almost make contact as they try and push through. Lopez goes a little bit wide, but he can't quite make it stick at the moment. But how much longer is this going to last? I don't think it will last much longer at all, to be honest, because again, Car has much fresher tyres than Lopez. He's going to have a go at Lopez and try and keep the position. This is important, of course, for the championship. But Car right behind, coming onto the short back straight here, and will he make it through? We've got another yellow flag, and it's Franco Gamba who's out. Franco Gamba is out, and that is coming at the end of the straight. That's actually coming through the right-hander, I think. So that's a fairly unusual place. You don't see too many accidents there, but we're going to find out what happened to Franco Gamba. And so, it was a mistake of his own making. Just goes wide, caught in the dirty air, and goes into the wall. And Franco Gamba is out of the race, so that is an uncharacteristic error there from the Italian. And you can see the mistakes. He goes wide and then goes into the wall, and that's his race done and dusted. And he's literally in the dust, really, in the gravel here at Catalonia, because of course it is usually very hot out there. So he's, again, just a very, very silly mistake, Franco Gamba. So he is done. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead continues, and at the moment Lopez is holding on, but for how much longer can he do it? Calm now making a move on the inside, and this surely has got to be it, 'cause he's just about getting alongside the Argentinian, but has he got enough oomph to do it? And the answer is always going to go for it late, and I think Carr's going to do it. Has he got the run through the corner? And the answer is yes, he does, and he does take the lead from Franco Lopez, and Lopez now might even be lapped by the AlphaTauri there. I wasn't sure if Car was going to do it or not. It was a bit late, but he managed to get it through in the end. So Almacar does take the lead of this race, and that is crucial for him at this stage. Meanwhile, this is Gabriel Gomez, who is trying to get past Roque coming down the front straight as well. There's Chatfield trying to make his way through the pack as well. And Gomez, can he do it on the inside? The answer is no. Meanwhile, Chatfield passes Willows for 10th place behind, and now he'll get involved in this battle in front. I mean, look at how much he's already closing at the moment. So this battle will continue on. But now, of course, the top guys, Car and Lopez, are going to be dealing with this traffic. Meanwhile, Radomojin has actually just come into the pits for another stop. But Roque at the head of this big train of cars. So Car coming through, and so will Lopez as well. Car now laps the Alfa Romeo. Will he have a go at Roque into the corner? The answer is no, but Gomez actually tries to unlap himself there, which won't please Car, but fortunately no harm done. There was a little lock up there from Kirby as he was going past the Williams there of Sontag. And was there contact? Oh, there was contact actually. That explains why there was a little bit of smoke, so it wasn't a lock up at all. There's a bit of contact. Meanwhile, Car now going past Roque, coming into the final chicane. So that's good for him, because that means he gets rid of Lopez, who will have to deal with all that traffic. Roque Gamba actually is now in as well for a stop for Ferrari. And so meanwhile, Chris Chatfield now attempting to overtake Gabriel Gomez. This is for P9. And Chatfield, who at the moment is on the freshest tyres out of all these guys, is through down the inside and passes Gomez. Now, will he make light work of the racing point in front of him is going to be the big question. So as we look at Lopez, who is actually coming into the pits this lap. So it's fairly early for him, but we'll see how this works out. Meanwhile, Laura Chung, who is passing the lap car there on the straight, and she'll be pitting this lap, but again, she's had a pretty bad race. I'm pretty sure she hasn't actually pitted yet, I don't remember her pitting. So she's generally just been very, very slow. And so as we look at Chatfield, who is now surely going to get past Roque very quickly. You would imagine so, because he's on fresher tyres, and Roque, I don't believe, has pitted either. Who's still going around. Amazingly, I'm surprised he's doing as well. Chung has not been doing as well. Roberto Gam has been just ahead of Roque all race. I mean, Roque being on the, us as being the one who's on the longest stint at the moment, doing a good job. Meanwhile, De Rosa comes in for his second stop, and I don't believe it will be his final either. We'll see soon anyway. Chatfield having a look as we look at Kirby, who's in this pack of cars. There's Willows, who's got Q-Pock behind. Willows going a little bit wide coming into the chicane there. So Chatfield coming out, has Roque in front. De Rosa going to be coming out, looks like is going to be in 6th place. He's going to be ahead of this pack of cars. This could be close. So he comes out the pits now, and they come across the line. No, actually, as Chatfield actually is going past Roque for 6th position, and he's through. So De Rosa comes out. Oh, comes out. Would he come out ahead of Gomez? And he does just about come out ahead of Gomez, which is good enough for him. So now he's got Roque in front, although he'll pass him pretty quickly, I have to say. So yeah, as we look at Franco Lopez, who is in the pits, of course, and who is going to be making one more stop before the end. So Car, you could say, has the advantage because he's on the 2, but you can never underestimate the power of fresher tyres. So we're going to see what Lopez can do on this stint. He comes out in 3rd behind Gal, who's now temporarily up into 2nd. And meanwhile, De Rosa now going past Roque. This is for P7. I'm pretty sure there was a battle behind as well. But crucially, De Rosa and Chatfield getting their way through this traffic. So there's Willers in 10th. He's got Kupok, who's closing up behind as well. This Kupok maybe looking to make a move coming into the hairpin there, but not close enough. So got to wait until the back straight. That's the next opportunity he'll have to make a move. Meanwhile, De Rosa very quick at this moment in time on the back of Chatfield. This is for P6 as they come through the final chicane, and surely De Rosa is going to be close enough to make a move on the inside of Chatfield coming down the front straight, and he is going to have a go at the British man as they come down the front straight side by side, and this should be pretty easy for De Rosa alongside the AlphaTauri or AlphaTauri, however you want to say it, and De Rosa is through. And so now there's Roque in 6th, who's got Dudu Kirby, who's trying to unlap himself. Meanwhile, Willers has got Kupok right behind him. There's Roberto Gamma down in 40th at this moment in time, as Lopez is behind Miguelos Gal in the Red Bull. Needs to get past Gal quickly if he wants to make inroads on Car at the moment leading. So the gap is about, I think, about 30 seconds, I think it was. I believe that Lopez was behind, and so he'll have a lot to gain if he wants to get ahead of Car before his final stop. And of course, crucially for Lopez, of course, he has to make one more stop anyway. So this is a very important stint for him. Can't afford to be held up in traffic. Meanwhile, Galloway is behind Kupok, who still hasn't got past Willers. And look at the speed that Galloway has. He's going to absolutely scythe his way through past David Kupok. This is for 11th place. So good job there by the British driver. Meanwhile, Roberto Gamma is on the back of Federi in the Alfa Romeo. This is for 13th place. And so Roberto Gamma going to try and make a move on the inside of the Alfa Romeo. Is he going to do it? No, he backs out of it. Meanwhile, Galloway all over the back of Willers here, who is, again, just doesn't seemingly have the pace this race. So Car at the moment leading. There's De Rosa in 6th, although he might get lapped by Car soon. The gap now, I think, is about 25 seconds. So I think, by the looks of it, if Lopez keeps at this pace, he will come out ahead, or he will be ahead of Car when he makes his final stop, because crucially, he'll have one more stop to do as well. But I would say it's probably it's in the favour of Armar Car at the moment on his strategy, on his 2-stop, as we're looking at Willers, who's behind Galloway there. There's Kupok behind as well. I'm pretty sure I saw there was a car coming in. Actually, yes, it was George Roque, who I believe this is his first and only stop of the race. I don't believe he's actually made a stop yet, as he slows down, as sometimes has to be careful not to run into the back of him there, which he doesn't do. So there is Roque coming now through the pit entry into the pits, and so here we go. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Roque has definitely not made a stop, so this is his one and only stop, and he's gone so long on this stint, it's ridiculous. Meanwhile, Kupok, who is now going past Willows for P10, or at least he's trying to. Is he going to go late into the first corner? Is he going to have the run through? Is he going to keep around the outside? Nope, can't do it. So let's look at Roque coming out the pits down in, looks like P14, so one only stop, but of course crucially everyone around him, or most of them around him anyway, are going to have to pit, although Roberto Gamma actually is one of them that isn't. So he'll have to pass Roberto Gamma on track, but Roque comes out down in P14. Meanwhile, Lopez, who's trying to get through the traffic, it's about 22 seconds the gap to Car, but he's got all this lap traffic to deal with. Lopez, this is not what he needs. So the moment Car would come up behind him, but it would only be a few seconds, and Car would close them in about 3 laps and then overtake him. That's what the scenario looks like. Unless Lopez can get past this traffic very quickly, he's got a number of cars that he needs to lap it. 3 of them to be exact. He's got Gamba, he's got Kupok, and he's got Willows in front of him. These lappers, they're battling hard as Kupok trying desperately to get past Willows here, as Willows goes very wide, and I think Kupok now has finally made his way through, and unfortunately Lopez has caught him at exactly the wrong time, as they're side by side in front, Kupok and Willows, and Lopez is right in the thick of this, exactly not the point he would want to catch these guys. As he gets past Roberto Gamba, Willows and Q-Puck are still side by side coming in towards the chicane. And so now they're still side by side, and Willows will keep the position. No, Q-Puck will get the run around the outside and takes the place. And now finally Lopez gets through this traffic, or at least gets through past Willows. He's still got Q-Puck to get through, but that's not what Lopez wanted at all. He'll lose a bit of time for that. Amigo Roberto Gamba now attempting to go past Willows for 11th. He's going to try and have a go as Willows defends hard, so he's not able to make the move stick there. But now Lopez, of course, will have to go past the AlphaTauri Q-Puck. This is the replay again. This is the battle, so was a good battle to be fair, but just for Lopez, exactly the wrong time, exactly the time that he didn't need to see this. I mean, they were side by side just about all the way through nearly the whole third sector, coming through until the final chicane. And so here we go. I thought Willows had the run there, but Q-Puck had it round the outside and just got a better run and overtook him there. So fair play to Q-Puck, that was a good move, and of course crucially Willows got lapped there coming around the final chicane. Meanwhile, Evan Byrne is in for his final stop. He comes out in 6th position. And so De Rosa now down to 5th, but he's got one more stop to go. Gal at the moment in 3rd. There's Roku 14th. There's Gal in 3rd, who's pitting very soon. And so meanwhile Lopez now going past even more traffic. And now finally he'll be free as Roke trying to go past the Alfa Romeo Federi there, coming in towards the chicane. Not going to happen at that point, but he will surely make the move now when it comes to the front straight, although he's not quite necessarily close enough at the moment. But he's got all these guys in front of him. Roberto Gamba now trying to get past David Q-Puck in the AlphaTauri. And can't work out make a stick. Roke not close enough to make it past Federi either. And so there is Armar Carr, who is now actually pitting on this lap. So the gap, I think, was about 20 seconds. So Carr, of course, will be coming out behind Lopez. But of course, Lopez is going to be pitting one more time. And of course, Lopez was held up quite a bit actually in that traffic. If he'd got past it quicker or hadn't caught it at that point, he probably would have gained a few more seconds. Maybe it probably would have been around 16, 17 seconds. So this is going to be very, very interesting indeed to see what happens. So as we look at Carr coming through the chicane, so the gap actually 18 seconds now, so it is coming down still more. But I think for Lopez, if it wasn't for that traffic, it probably would have been, I reckon, probably 3 or 4 seconds more. Less to gain. I'm getting a bit confused there. So would have been about 13 to 14, I would reckon. But Carr comes in, and as that he will come out behind Lopez, who will lead this race. And so there we go. Tyres change, and of course that'll be enough fuel to go to the end. I mean, the thing is, with Lopez at the end, he'll be very quick, but I just don't think the gap is going to be good enough him to win. I mean, that is if Carr doesn't catch him before the stop anyway. But Lopez will take the lead of this race. Carr now comes out. He'll have a bit of traffic. He'll have a couple of cars to deal with. They'll hope they'll hold him up enough. Well, unfortunately, actually comes out ahead of this other battle pack, so that's a relief for Carr there. But as I said, Lopez will have a little bit of traffic to deal with. But Carr will have a bit of traffic to deal with. Lopez just needs to kind of get on with it before his final stop, and just see where it goes from there. But as we look now, this is the racing point of Roke, who's behind Willows here. He's going to try and make a move on the inside. Is Roke of the British driver as Willows goes a little bit wide. Roke going to try and force his way down the inside, but it's not quite going to work. And so he'll have to wait another few corners before he can actually make the move, unless he makes it before the back straight, which is entirely possible. He's in the slipstream of Willows here, and is he going to make a move on the inside? Is he going to go for it, Roke? And yes, he does, and moves up into 12th place. Good move there by Roke, who's obviously finally got fresh tyres and less fuel to play with, so he might actually be somewhat quick now. So the gap Carr to Lopez is about 8 seconds, but that gap will come down by the time that Lopez goes in. So this is Wilson that was just lapped there by the McLaren of De Rosa. So Wilson at the moment who is down in plumb last at this moment in time. As there's a car coming into the pits there. That's the AlphaTauri set to pit. So that will be the last car that Lopez will have to deal with for a bit. There's another car. I think that one might have been Gal coming into the pits as well. I think. I think Gomez was going into the pits as well. So Q-Puck is in too. Number of drivers pitting on this lap or the next lap, and Gal, as I said, I was right. I did see it correctly. He is coming in now for his final pit stop of the race. So into the pits he comes, And so let's see how quick the stop will be for the Hungarian. So here we go. Into the pits he comes. He'll change all 4 tyres. And yep, go to the end, of course. So it looks like it's going to be a comfortable P3, you would think, for Nicholas Gal. Kept himself out of trouble. He was never really going to be a threat to the Mercedes. And so as Lopez at the moment leading. I mean, crucially, as the car has got although he'll have less traffic to deal with actually, because Chatfield's pitting actually. So I'll only have Dudu Kirby to deal with. So I mean, he won't have too much traffic. I mean, the gap already is coming down. It's now down to 6.6. So car again gaining on Lopez, of course. It's not a surprise, but it's just going to be how much he can gain on Lopez before Lopez makes his final stop. He'll only have Kirby now actually to deal with, because Chatfield is pitting this lap, and as he comes around the chicane, he might get held up a little bit here, car, coming through the chicane. But actually, I thought he'd be held up a little bit more there because of Chatfield coming in, but no, car just gets his way easily past Kirby there. Now he'll have Lopez in his sights out front. The gap 7.2, so obviously did go up a little bit because car was held up there slightly, which is what Lopez needs. But he needs a lot more than that, Lopez, and unfortunately for him, car has got no traffic to deal with. I mean, Lopez doesn't either, but car has got nothing to deal with in front of him now. So that is going to be. Oh, I don't know who. I think it's still probably going to be car that wins. But it could maybe still be close at the end, depending on when Lopez pits, which will probably be in a couple of laps, 2-3 laps time. So meanwhile, this is De Rossa, who's ahead of Nicholas Gal, who is going to the end, of course. So De Rossa doing well, but he's going to have to pit once more. But he's still had a fantastic recovery from that amazing start. Meanwhile, Chatfield getting his way through the pack, trying to get past Vaderi. This is for P11, and he's through. Meanwhile, Roland Moichin is there, trying to get through this traffic as well. So he's going to try and lap the Alfa Romeo for Dairy coming onto the straight there. Meanwhile, Chung is there too. And Moichin now going to go past, and will actually Chung try and go past as well? No, not quite. And oh, Gomez launches it up the inside though. And what a move from Gabriel Gomez. He gets past Laura Chung there. Good job there by the Brazilian. He is through up the inside. Now has his teammate in front, and now Lopez is into the pit, so car, of course, will take the lead. 6 seconds, fairly quick. So the big question is, can Lopez catch car before the end? Meanwhile, Kupok now gets past for Dairy as well. There's Chung trying to make her way through. Still been struggling all race. And there's the battle for P10. There's Chatfield battling with Willows. Lopez, of course, comes out in second. And he's got a racing point to deal with in front of him. But now he really has got to give it hammer time if he wants to win this race. And the car at the moment leading fairly comfortably out front. But, I mean, the gap, 22 seconds. I mean, that is quite significant, because I don't believe car passed Lopez on track before the stop. But still, 22 seconds in 13 laps. Is that possible? I reckon that he can get it to under 10 seconds. But to get it to, well, nothing, and a car being behind him, I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. Meanwhile, Gal, who's been stuck behind De Rossa, now finally is past him as De Rossa pits, as Galloway is down to 14th at this moment in time. Byrne is not, I don't think, was too far behind Gal either, but I'm not sure if he's got the pace to pass, really. But Galloway actually seems to have the pace actually behind Gal at the moment, so he might try and unlap himself here. And he's going to do so, I think, Galloway, into the first corner. Is he? Yes? No? But the thing is, now he's got Byrne behind him as well, and I want to let Byrne through so that Byrne can have a go at attacking Gal for third. Moichin comes out in fifth, so he was pitted at the same lap as De Rossa. So Carr still leading this race at this moment in time. Another pit call, I think that was for Joseph Willows. As they're looking at these guys coming through the hairpin. 2 Renaults behind Gal in third. But will he be able to hold off Byrne for third place? Again, Byrne was close to him, but of course Galloway's there as well. Galloway's pretty quick because he's pitted. I don't know if he's pitted late on yet, but meanwhile Gomez was getting close to the back of Kupok there. Willows, who at the moment is in 10th, is going to be pitting, so he'll have one more stop to go before he reaches the end. Meanwhile, De Rossa in 6th, lapping the manner there of Wilson. The gap, Lopez to Carr, again, it has come down. It's down to 21 seconds. Lopez, of course, who doesn't have any traffic ahead of him at the moment, so he can really go for it. So we'll see how much he can gain at the end of this race. Again, I don't think he'll be able to get the win. He'll certainly gain a lot, but it'll be how much he can gain overall. Meanwhile, Gomez, who is on the back, it looked like, of Kupok there for, it looked like 10th place. Moich at the moment in P5. There's Carr at the moment, who's leading this race. He's come out on top. He is set to come out on top. It looks like our strategy once again. The gap coming down now, down to under 20 seconds, but in 10 laps. Yeah, Lopez needs to be at least, well, probably about 2 seconds quicker than him, really. Well, he has to be 2 seconds quicker. That's pretty much the only way he's going to do it, really. Is there is Galloway passing Laura Chung actually there for 12th place. So Chung having yet again one of her terrible races. I mean, pretty much with Chung, you get either fantastic races or terrible races. There is no in between with her, unfortunately. So as we're looking at Moishin, who is about 10 seconds off Byrne in P4 at this moment in time, we're looking at Carl, the leader of this race. The gap again staying about 20 seconds, but again, yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm trying to hype it up. I'm trying to be like, I don't know, David Croft, trying to hype it up, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Meanwhile, this is the battle for 8. This is Chris Chatfield, who's going past Roberta Gamba, and he's up into 8th position. So Chatfield has had a decent race yet again for AlphaTauri. Goes past Roberta Gamba, who was on the one stop, hasn't done a bad job, but has struggled, but not had as much pace compared to, say, George Roke in the Racing Point. Although Roke was stuck behind him actually for pretty much the whole of most of the first stint, really. Roke is comfortably ahead. Meanwhile, Gomez now attacking Kupok for 10th and gets through, and he's now up into the last points position. So good move there by Gabriel Gomez, and I wonder if he can get after Roberta Gamba. And well, this is Andrea Federi, who's behind Laura Chung. So both Alfa Romeos attacking Ferraris, and Federi meanwhile gets past Chung for 13th. So now the question is if Gomez can attack Roberta Gamba in front of him. So we could see a couple of overtakes there. Meanwhile, this is Willows, who's battling with Laura Chung. So this is the battle for 14th position between Laura Chung and Joseph Willows. You would not expect it would be for 14th. And meanwhile, Gomez, look at that, has already caught up to Roberta Gamba and passed him for 9th. So Roberta Gamba, who was running comfortably in the points, is slipping down the order. He's down to 9th, and I don't think Kupok was actually that far behind, so I wonder if Roberta Gamba might even get overtaken by him as well. Meanwhile, Willows gets past Chung for 14th. Chung falls down to 50th. What a terrible race she's had. Meanwhile, we're looking at Moichin, who is gaining actually on Evan Byrne in front of him actually, so could see another battle for P4 there as we're looking at Carr, who is still leading. So looking at Moichin now, this is the battle for P4, Moichin versus Byrne. Moichin on the inside of Byrne. This is for P4. This would be a good result for Moichin if he can get it. Alongside the Irishman into the first corner, and yes, he gets it. So Moichin was looking set to get a top 4 finish for Racing Point. Well, that's about what they should get, actually, I suppose. Meanwhile, Carr, I think it was just lapped there, or De Rosso, I should say, unlapped himself there, which I suppose would help Lopez, but it doesn't matter because he's never going to catch him now. But De Rosso trying to get through a lot of traffic. Meanwhile, this is Willows, who's trying to get past Federi. This is for 13th. Coming across the line, and he's going to go through past him, it looks like, side by side. Willows already sneaking ahead of the Alfa Romeo there, and he is through, so he's up into 13th. And I wonder if we'll get Roberta Gamba in front of him as well. The gap, I think, was down to about 12 seconds, Lopez. So I was right, it would be about 10 seconds, I think. But there's Galloway in 3rd on his own. There's Galloway, who's actually on the back of Kupok. This is for 10th. The battle for the last point there, up for grabs. And so Galloway, is he going to try and make a move on the back straight here? He's coming to the back of him, and he's in the slipstream of the AlphaTauri. He's going to try and make a move to the left, and a bit of contact there, and Galloway kind of bumps Kupok out the way, but he takes 10th place nonetheless. He is through. So Kupok drops down to 11th position there. So meanwhile, we're looking now. This is the battle for P5. So this is Byrne, who might even drop behind De Rossa as well. Oh, and he does. And what a move by De Rossa. So he moves up into the top 5. So fair play. It's been a fantastic race from De Rossa. He is now into 5th position. I don't think he'll get Moichin in front, but still 5th for him, considering where he started after his grid penalty from last week, is one hell of an achievement from De Rossa. That is, if he gets to the end, of course. Still have 1 lap left to go. Meanwhile, Carr, who's still leading this race and is set to win, it looks like, before we get on to the final lap. Meanwhile, Gomez was just lapped there by Gal. And so we're looking at looking at all the backmarker cars. There's Roberto Gamba, who was in the points but has dropped out of the points. Byrne is trying to go past the Williams coming through the chicane here. Carr getting stuck in this traffic here. But he now goes past the McLaren as we're now set to go on to the final lap of the Spanish Grand Prix. And here we go. So Carr leading this race and he's set to take victory. So it looks like the 2-stop will come out on top instead of the 3. The gap to Lopez now down to less than 10 seconds. And of course this is unfortunately what Lopez would have wanted about 3-4 laps ago. For Carr to be held up, or probably even, probably 5 laps ago. This would exactly what Lopez would have wanted. Carr to be stuck in all this traffic, because the gap, you can see, is down to less than 10 seconds. And as they're coming through the sector, and it's now down to about 8 as Carr trying to get through all this traffic here, going past the Williams. But it's looking set to be a fascinating battle between the two Mercedes all season, and Lopez, who's only taken 1 win this season and taken a number of seconds, and Carr's set to take another victory as he's coming down the back straight, as he's still got the McLaren trying to pass him here, coming in towards the hairpin. He needs to be careful here. He doesn't need this car, as he has Lopez is gaining rapidly now that Carr is taking this traffic. But again, Lopez would have needed this about 5 laps ago. Then he might have actually had a shot at winning this race, but the 2-stop has come out on top of the 3. And then Amar Carr coming around the chicane for the final time, 66th time. And he is going to win the Spanish Grand Prix. And Amar Carr comes across the line, and he is the winner here in sunny Spain. And he wins. A great result. Burns 6th, and there's the rest of the field coming through. Lopez 2nd. He'll be fuming at the way he's lost that. Only 4.3 in the end. That's how much Carr lost on that last lap. So imagine again if that was a few laps ago. Lopez could easily have been in with a shot of the victory, but unfortunately it's not happened for him. Chung 15th, very, very disappointing from her. Meanwhile, George Roques had to come across the line and get some more points for Racing Point. 7th position, and let's not forget he was on the 1-stop, so he's done a very, very good job. The best of the 1-stoppers, Roberto Gamba the 2nd best. Actually, Jake Galloway, was Jake Galloway on the 1-stop? I can't remember, but nonetheless, he is the best of the 1-stoppers. So he's set to come round the final corner and across the line. And he takes 7th position. He'll be pretty happy with that. Chris Chatfield gets some more points again for AlphaTauri. Not a bad performance from him at all. So meanwhile, Dudu Kirby set to come across the line in 16th position for Haas. Again, obviously hit on the first lap with the debris and everything, so it was never going to recover. Gal takes 3rd. He'll be happy. Gomez 9th in the points. Moichin top 4 for him. Jake Galloway takes the last point as well in 10th. David Cupot will come across the line, looks like in 11th. Meanwhile, behind that is the McLaren of De Rosso, takes P5, let's remind you, from 90th on the grid. An incredible recovery from De Rosso. That is a fantastic performance from him. But there we go, the race is over. So we'll take a look at the full race results now. So Amar Carr winning ahead of Franco Lopez in P2. Miguel Gal 3rd, Renault Motion 4th, and De Rosso with De Rosso the last complete lap. Evan Byrne, George Roque, Chris Chatfield, Gabriel Gomez and Jake Galloway completing the rest of the points. Franco Lopez gets the extra point for the fastest lap of 121.3. So Gal's record from 2009, the lap record around here still stands. So David Cupot was 11th, Roberto Gamba 12th, Joseph was 13th, Andrea Videri 14th, Chung 15th, Kirby, Sontag and Wilson completing the rest of the order, with Franco Gamba, Daniel Fraser, Jamie Griffiths and Rosetta Martin as the drivers who did not finish this race. So there we go. And so now we'll take a look at the driver standings and the constructor standings after Spain. So Lopez still has the lead over Carr, but the gap is just 19 points. I lied, it's not 19 points, it's 21 points I should say. Good mouse there, George. Miguel Gal 3rd, which moves ahead of his teammate Roque actually up into 4th place by just 1 point. Other movers include De Rossa moving up into the top 10, moving up a few positions. Chatfield and Gomez moving up a couple of places as well. Willows, Chung and Paderi all losing positions. So far, the only drivers yet to score any points this season are Jamie Griffiths, Rosetta Martinez, Dudu Kirby, Amelia Wilson, Eddie Sontag, and Daniel Fraser. So there we go, and now we'll take a look, of course, at the constructor standings. After Spain, and Mercedes have a comfortable lead, a 103-point lead, out of Red Bull, who are just 1 single point ahead of Racing Point in 2nd. That is very close. Renault a little bit behind in 4th, AlphaTauri in 5th, McLaren moving ahead of Ferrari and Alfa Romeo into 6th place. And look at the gap actually from Alfa Romeo to Williams, Manor and Haas. 18 points, so a lot of them there. De Rossa, from his amazing recovery from 19th on the grid to 5th, gets driver of the day. Not really much of a surprise there. So there we go. That was the Spanish Grand Prix, and a pretty decent race as well. The next round will be the Monaco Grand Prix. However, that will not be for a couple of weeks, as we're having our Christmas break now. So thank you for everyone for watching throughout the whole year. Hope you have a fantastic Christmas, and even if you're not celebrating Christmas, have a great end to the year with your families and friends. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you at the start of next year for the Monaco Grand Prix. See you then.